Then you get back up and try again, Ashley said. That's all any parent can do. Grace wasn't perfect, was she? No, Ryan admitted with a small smile. She burned dinner constantly. She was always late. She forgot to sign permission slips. She was a disaster at the practical stuff. But she loved them, Ashley said. With everything she had, Ryan whispered. Then love them like that. That's all they need. Ryan nodded slowly. Then he said, I want you to know that last night changed my life. You changed my life. And I'll never be able to repay that. You don't need to repay anything, Ashley said. Just be their dad. That's payment enough. As Ashley left the study and headed upstairs to her room, she thought about how strange life was. A week ago, she'd just been trying to survive, to make enough money to support her daughter. Now she was somehow part of a family's healing. She thought about Marcus, about how he'd always told her that she had a gift for seeing what people needed. You see people, he used to say. Really see them. Not everyone can do that. Maybe that's why she'd ended up here. Maybe that's why she'd had the courage to break the rules. Maybe sometimes the broken people find each other. And maybe that's not an accident. Maybe that's grace. The next few weeks weren't easy. Transformation never is. Ryan threw himself into being present with an intensity that was both beautiful and concerning. He canceled business meetings. He ate breakfast and dinner with the kids every day. He read to them at night, doing all the voices like Grace used to do, even though it made him cry. But there were hard moments too. One evening in mid-January, Ashley found Ryan sitting alone in the sitting room, staring at the space where the New Year's banner had hung. He'd taken it down carefully, saved it, but the absence of it seemed to have triggered something. Mr. Brown. Ashley said softly from the doorway. Do you ever feel like you're betraying them? Ryan asked without looking at her. The people we lost. By moving on. By being happy again. Ashley sat down across from him. Every day, she admitted. Every time I laugh, there's a part of me that feels guilty. Like I don't have the right to be happy when Marcus is dead. How do you get past it? I don't, really. I remind myself that they wouldn't want us to stop living. Marcus used to say that grief is the price we pay for love. And that if we stop loving, if we stop living, then we're not honoring them. We're just joining them in death. Ryan was quiet for a long moment. Grace made me promise something. The night before she died, when she was scared but trying not to show it. She made me promise that I'd keep living. That I'd give the kids everything. That I wouldn't let her death become their death too. His voice broke. And I broke that promise. For 3 years, I broke it every single day. But you're keeping it now, Ashley said. That's what matters. Is it enough? Can I make up for 3 years of their childhood that I stole? You can't make up for it, Ashley said honestly. But you can give them everything from here forward. And eventually, the good memories will outnumber the bad ones. That's how healing works. Not by erasing the pain, but by building enough joy around it that it doesn't take up all the space. The triplets had their own struggles too. Liam started having nightmares about losing his father the way he'd lost his mother. He'd wake up crying and run to Ryan's room to make sure he was still there. The first time it happened, Ryan didn't know what to do. He called Ashley in a panic at 2 in the morning. She found him sitting on his bed with Liam in his lap, both of them shaking. He won't stop crying, Ryan said helplessly. I don't know what to do. Ashley sat down beside them. Liam, sweetheart, can you tell me what's wrong? Through his tears, Liam whispered, I dreamed that Dad went away and never came back. Like Mom. Ryan's face crumpled. He held his son tighter. I'm not going anywhere, buddy. I promise. You can't promise that, Liam said, his voice small but certain. Nobody can promise that. Mom promised to always be there and she left. The wisdom and pain in those words devastated Ryan. He looked at Ashley, lost. You're right, Ashley said to Liam. Nobody can promise they'll never die. But your dad can promise to be here as much as he possibly can. To not leave by choice. To fight to stay with you every single day. I promise that, Ryan said firmly. I promise to be here, to be present, to be your dad for as long as I possibly can. And even after I'm gone someday way, way in the future, I'll still be with you. Just like your mom is still with you. Love doesn't die, Liam. Bodies do. But love stays. Liam cried harder, but it was a different kind of crying. A cleansing kind. And Ryan held him through it, crying too, letting his son see that fear and grief and love could all exist together. After that night, Ryan kept his door open. And when any of the kids had nightmares, they'd find their way to his room. Most mornings, Ashley would find all four of them asleep in Ryan's king-size bed, tangled together like puppies. Lily struggled in her own way. She'd become so used to being quiet, to not asking for what she needed, that she didn't know how to speak up now that she was allowed to. Ashley found her crying in the playroom one afternoon, frustrated because she wanted to ask Ryan to play with her but didn't know how. "He's your dad," Ashley said gently. "You can ask him for anything." "But what if he says no?" Lily whispered. "What if he's too busy? Then he says no, and you try again another time. But I think you'll find he'll say yes a lot more than no now." That evening, Lily walked into Ryan's office where he was working and stood silently by the door until he noticed her. "Hey Lil," he said. "What's up?" Lily took a breath. Will you play dolls with me?" Ryan didn't hesitate. He closed his laptop. "Absolutely. Lead the way." They played dolls for an hour. Ryan had no idea what he was doing, but he tried. He gave all the dolls ridiculous voices. He made up elaborate storylines. And Lily laughed until her stomach hurt. Lucas's struggle was the hardest to see because he tried so hard to hide it. He'd become the peacekeeper, the one who smoothed over tension, who made sure everyone else was okay. But he wasn't okay. He was carrying the weight of his family's pain and pretending it wasn't crushing him. Ashley saw it first. The way Lucas would check on his siblings constantly. The way he'd watch his father's face for signs of sadness. The way he'd absorbed everyone else's feelings and forgotten to have his own. One day, she found him sitting alone in the library, staring out the window, his face blank. "Hey Lucas," she said softly. "What are you thinking about?" "Nothing," he said automatically. Ashley sat down beside him. "It's okay if you're not okay, you know. Just because everyone else is getting better doesn't mean you have to be okay all the time." Lucas was quiet. Then, in a voice so small Ashley almost missed it, he said, "I'm tired." "Tired of what, sweetheart?" "Of making sure everyone's happy. Of worrying that if I'm sad, Dad will get sad again. Of trying to hold everyone together." Ashley's heart broke. "Oh, Lucas. That's not your job. That's never been your job. But someone has to." "No," Ashley said firmly. "Someone doesn't have to. Your only job is to be 6 years old. To play and learn and sometimes be sad and sometimes be happy. Your dad's job is to hold everything together. Not yours." "But what if he can't?" "Then he'll ask for help. From me, from Margaret, from other adults. But not from you. Never from you." They told Ryan about it that night. His face went pale as he listened to what his son had been carrying. "Lucas," he said, pulling his son into his lap. "I'm so sorry. I never wanted you to feel like you had to take care of us." "I want to help," Lucas said. "I know. And that's beautiful. But the best way you can help me is by being a kid. By letting me be your dad. Can you do that?" Lucas nodded, tears finally spilling over. And Ryan held him, whispering promises and apologies and love. The healing wasn't linear. There were good days and bad days. Days when Ryan felt like he was finally getting it right, and days when he felt like he was failing all over again. But the difference was, now he didn't face those days alone. Now he talked about them. Now he asked for help. Now he let his kids see him struggling and learning. And slowly, day by day, the brown house started to feel less like a museum and more like a home. One evening in late January, Ashley was in the kitchen when Ryan came in. He looked nervous. "Can I ask you something?" he said. "Of course." "Would you consider staying on? Not just as staff. I don't know what to call it. Family? The kids love you. And honestly, I don't know how I'd do this without you." Ashley's chest tightened. "Mr. Brown." "Ryan," he corrected. "Please. After everything, I think we're past formalities. Ryan, Ashley said carefully. I appreciate that more than you know. But I have a daughter. Zoe. She's living with my mom in North Carolina, and I haven't seen her in 6 weeks. Eventually, I need to bring her here. I need to figure out how to be her mom again. Then bring her here, Ryan said simply. We have plenty of space. She could have her own room. She could be with you. And the triplets would love having another kid around. Ashley stared at him. You'd do that. You gave me my kids back, Ryan said, his voice thick. Let me help you get yours back. Ashley's eyes filled with tears. I don't know what to say. Say yes, Ryan said. Say you'll stay. Say you'll let us be your family the way you've become ours. And Ashley, who'd been alone for so long, who'd been drowning in grief and poverty and hopelessness, let herself believe in the possibility of healing. Yes, she whispered. Yes. On February 14th, Valentine's Day, Ryan made a decision. It was time to visit Grace. He hadn't been to her grave since the funeral. For 3 years, he'd avoided Oak Hill Cemetery like it was a war zone. The idea of standing at her headstone, of facing the reality of her absence, had been too much. But now, with healing happening all around him, he felt ready. Or at least, ready enough to try. He told the triplets at breakfast. I'm going to visit Mom's grave today. Do you guys want to come with me? The kids exchanged glances. They'd never been to the cemetery. Ryan had thought he was protecting them by keeping them away. Now he realized he'd just been keeping them from saying goodbye. Can we bring her flowers? Lily asked quietly. We can bring her whatever you want, Ryan said. They spent the morning at a flower shop in Georgetown, the triplets carefully selecting flowers. Lily chose purple tulips because purple was Mom's favorite color. Lucas picked white roses because they're fancy and Mom liked fancy things. Liam chose daisies because Mom said daisies were happy flowers and she always wanted us to be happy. Ryan bought all of them, plus a dozen red roses for himself. The florist smiled at them like they were the sweetest family she'd ever seen. She had no idea how broken they'd been just weeks ago. Ashley offered to stay home, but Ryan asked her to come. You're part of this now, he said. And I think I need you there. Oak Hill Cemetery sat on a hill overlooking Rock Creek, beautiful and peaceful even in winter. They parked and walked slowly through the grounds, the triplets holding their flowers carefully, Ryan's heart pounding harder with each step. Grace's grave was under a willow tree, her headstone simple and elegant, Grace Marie Brown. Beloved wife and mother. 1987 to 2022. Ryan stopped a few feet away, frozen. He'd forgotten how final it was. How real. The stone proof that she was gone and never coming back. Lily took his hand. It's okay, Daddy. We're here. They approached together. Ryan knelt down and traced his fingers over Grace's name carved in granite. The triplets carefully laid their flowers at the base of the stone. For a long moment, nobody spoke. The only sound was the wind through the willow branches and distant traffic from the city below. Then Liam said, Hi, Mom. It's us. Something about the simplicity of it broke through Ryan's paralysis. He smiled despite his tears. Hi, Grace, he whispered. I'm sorry it took me so long to come see you. I'm sorry for a lot of things. Lucas sat down on the frozen ground, apparently not caring about the cold. We brought you flowers, Mom. Different kinds because we couldn't remember which ones you liked best. She liked them all, Ryan said. Your mom loved flowers. She said they proved God still believed in beauty. Do you think she can hear us? Lily asked, looking up at her father. I think so, Ryan said. I think she's always been able to hear us. I haven't been talking to her. I've been too angry. Are you still angry? Liam asked. Ryan thought about it. No, not anymore. I'm just sad. And I miss her. But I'm not angry. He placed his roses with the others and sat down on the ground next to Lucas. The other kids sat too, and Ashley stood a respectful distance away, giving them space. I need to tell you something, Grace, Ryan said, his voice shaking. I messed up. For 3 years, I messed up so bad. I took away everything you loved about family. I banned New Year's Eve. I shut down joy. I turned our house into a tomb and our kids into ghosts. Tears streamed down his face. I thought I was protecting them. But I was just drowning them in my grief. And I'm so sorry. The triplets were crying too now. But they didn't look away. They let their father be vulnerable. They let him be human. But something happened, Ryan continued. Someone came into our lives who was brave enough to break my rules. Who saw what our kids needed and gave it to them even though it could have cost her everything. And she gave me back what you wanted me to have, a family. A real family. He looked at his children. We celebrated New Year's Eve, Grace. And it was beautiful. The kids made a banner and we had sparklers and we danced. And I thought it would feel like a betrayal. I thought I'd feel guilty. But instead, I felt you. I felt you in that room with us, smiling, telling us you were proud. Was she proud? Lily whispered. Yeah, baby, Ryan said. She was so proud. She is so proud. They sat there for a long time, talking to Grace. Telling her about their lives. The kids told her about their favorite toys, their lessons, their dreams. Ryan told her about the business, about how empty success felt without her to share it with, about how he was trying to be the man she believed he could be. Finally, as the sun started to set, Ryan stood up. He helped the kids to their feet. We'll come back, he promised Grace. Regularly. We'll bring flowers and stories and love. We won't forget you. We'll never forget you. But we're going to live, Grace. We're going to really live. Like you wanted us to. As they walked back to the car, Lily said, Dad? I think Mom was happy we came. Me too, Lil, Ryan said. Me too. On the drive home, Lucas asked, Can we visit more people? Can we visit Miss Ashley's husband? Ashley, sitting in the passenger seat, turned around in surprise. You want to do that? You miss him like Dad misses Mom, Lucas said simply. Maybe it would help. Ashley looked at Ryan, who nodded. Whatever you need. We're here. 2 weeks later, they all drove to North Carolina together. Ashley hadn't been home in months. She'd been too busy working, too busy surviving, too ashamed of how far she'd fallen. But now, pulling up to her mother's small house in Charlotte with Ryan and the triplets, she felt something different. Hope. Her mother, Dorothy, came out onto the porch, and Ashley saw Zoe, her beautiful 3-year-old daughter, peek out from behind her grandmother's legs. Mama. Ashley called, her voice breaking. She ran up the walkway and pulled her daughter into her arms. Zoe was bigger than she remembered. Her hair was longer. But she still smelled the same. Still fit perfectly in Ashley's arms. I missed you so much, Ashley sobbed. So much. I missed you too, Mommy, Zoe said, her little voice confused but happy. Dorothy was crying too. Baby girl, you look good. You look like yourself again. I'm getting there, Ashley said. I'm really getting there. She introduced Ryan and the triplets. Zoe was shy at first, but Lily coaxed her out with the promise of playing with her dolls. Within an hour, all 4 kids were running around the backyard, laughing. That's a good man, Dorothy said quietly, watching Ryan push Zoe on the swing set. Whatever happened between you two? Nothing happened, Ashley said quickly. He's my employer. And my friend. But that's all. Dorothy gave her a look. If you say so. But Ashley wondered. There was something between them, something neither of them had named. Something that felt like it could become more if they let it. But not yet. They were both still healing. Both still figuring out how to live again. For now, friendship was enough. They visited Marcus's grave together, all of them. It was in a cemetery on the edge of Charlotte, under an oak tree. The headstone was simple, Marcus James Monroe. Beloved husband and father. 1990 to 2023. Ashley knelt down and placed her hand on the stone. Hi baby, she whispered. I brought some people to meet you. The triplets placed flowers, just like they'd done for their mom. Zoe didn't understand what was happening, but she put a dandelion she'd picked on the grave because the nice man might like it. These kids saved me, Ashley told Marcus. Their dad saved me. I was drowning, and they threw me a line. And I know you're the one who sent them. I know you're still watching out for us. Ryan stood back, giving her space, but she could feel his support like a physical presence. I'm going to be okay, Ashley said. We're going to be okay. Zoe and me. We're going to make it. And for the first time since Marcus died, she believed it. On the drive back to D.C., with Zoe asleep in her car seat and the triplets dozing in the back, Ryan said quietly, "Thank you for letting us be part of that." "Thank you for making it possible," Ashley said. "For giving me my daughter back." "You gave me my kids back first," Ryan said. "It was the least I could do." They drove in comfortable silence for a while. Then Ryan said, "I've been thinking. About the future. About what comes next. And I think we're going to be okay. All of us. It won't be easy. But we're going to make it." Ashley looked back at the kids, all of them peaceful and safe, and thought about how far they'd all come in just a few weeks. From broken to healing. From alone to together. From surviving to living. "Yeah," she said softly. "We're going to make it." If you've ever lost someone and thought you'd never be whole again, if you've ever wondered if healing was even possible, then you understand what this moment means. These people found their way back to life. But the journey isn't over yet. Subscribe if you want to see where it leads. Because the final chapter is about more than healing. It's about what comes after. 6 months later, on a warm July evening, the brown house looked nothing like it had on that cold New Year's Eve. The hallways were filled with sound, children's laughter, music playing from the kitchen, the general happy chaos of a house that was actually lived in. The walls that had once held only expensive art now held the Triplets drawings and Zoe's finger paintings. The sitting room where they'd celebrated that first New Year's now had toys scattered across the floor. It was messy and imperfect and absolutely beautiful. Ryan stood in the kitchen making dinner. He'd gotten much better at it, though he still burned things regularly, while Ashley helped Zoe set the table. The triplets were in the backyard playing soccer, their voices carrying through the open windows. Margaret had retired in March, citing her age but really just wanting to leave the family in good hands. Ashley had officially become the household manager, though her role was so much more than that. She was family. Zoe had moved in permanently in April. She called Ryan Mr. Ryan, and the triplets her big friends. She was thriving. They developed routines. Friday nights were movie nights. Sunday mornings, Ryan made his terrible pancakes. Every evening, they ate dinner together and each person had to share the best part of their day. The kids were enrolled in a real school starting in September. Ryan had finally agreed that they needed the socialization, needed to be around other kids, needed to have normal lives. He was learning to let go. Learning to trust. Learning that protecting his children didn't mean isolating them from life, it meant preparing them for it. The business was thriving too, but Ryan had stopped letting it consume him. He worked reasonable hours. He took weekends off. He'd turned down 3 deals in the past month because they would have required too much travel, too much time away from his kids. His business partner, David, had asked him what changed. "I remembered what matters," Ryan had said simply. "And money isn't it." Tonight was special though. Tonight was New Year's Eve in July, something the kids had come up with, a celebration of the 6-month anniversary of the night that changed everything. They'd spent the day preparing. The triplets had made another banner. They'd hung decorations. They'd planned games and activities. This time though, Ryan had helped. He'd hung the streamers. He'd blown up balloons until he was dizzy. He'd laughed when Zoe covered herself in glitter. As the sun set and they gathered in the sitting room, the same room where it had all begun, Ryan felt a peace he'd thought was impossible. Grace would have loved this, he thought. She would have loved seeing their children happy and whole. She would have loved Ashley and Zoe. She would have been proud. Speech time. Lily announced, standing up with the authority of a 6-and-a-half-year-old who knew she ran the house. This had become a tradition. On special occasions, everyone had to give a speech about what they were grateful for. Liam went first. "I'm grateful we're not sad anymore. And I'm grateful for Dad being home. And for Miss Ashley. And for Zoe, even though she's annoying sometimes." "Hey!" Zoe protested, which made everyone laugh. Lucas went next. "I'm grateful for soccer and for pancakes and for my family. All of it. Everyone in this room." Lily's turn. "I'm grateful that we get to celebrate holidays now. And that Daddy smiles. And that Mommy is watching us from heaven and proud of us. Zoe didn't really understand the game but said, I'm grateful for my new room and my big friends. Ashley spoke next, her voice thick. I'm grateful that I took a chance. That I broke the rules. That I found a family when I thought I'd lost mine. And I'm grateful that Marcus led me here, because I think he knew I needed you all as much as you needed me. Then it was Ryan's turn. He stood up, looking at each person in the room. His 3 children, who'd been given back their childhood. Ashley, who'd been given a chance to be with her daughter again. Zoe, who'd brought even more joy into their lives. 6 months ago, Ryan started, I thought my life was over. I thought the best parts were behind me, that all I could do was survive until it was my turn to go. I'd built walls so high that I couldn't see over them anymore. I'd convinced myself that protecting my kids meant keeping them from joy, from hope, from life. His voice shook. And then this woman, this brave, incredible woman, came into our house and broke all my rules. She saw what I couldn't see. She loved my children when I'd forgotten how. She risked everything to give them one night of magic. One night that changed everything. He looked at Ashley, and she saw tears in his eyes. You saved us. You saved me. And I will never be able to thank you enough. You don't have to thank me, Ashley said softly. You let me save myself too. Ryan turned to his kids. I'm grateful for second chances. I'm grateful that it's not too late to be the father your mom wanted me to be. I'm grateful that we're learning to live again together, as a family. And I'm grateful that love doesn't end when someone dies. It transforms. It grows. It makes room for new people without forgetting the ones we've lost. He raised his glass of sparkling cider. To Grace, who taught us what love looks like. To new beginnings. To broken rules and brave hearts. To family, the one we're born into and the one we choose. They all raised their glasses, even Zoe, who mostly just wanted to drink the fancy juice. To family, they echoed. Later, after the kids were in bed and the house was quiet, Ryan and Ashley sat on the back porch watching fireflies light up the yard. Can I tell you something? Ryan asked. Always, Ashley said. I'm falling in love with you. The words hung in the air between them, honest and terrifying and true. Ashley's breath caught. Ryan. I know it's complicated, he said quickly. I know we both lost people. I know there's the employer thing and the timing and 1,000 reasons why it's a bad idea. But I've spent 3 years being ruled by fear and grief. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of not saying the things that matter. I'm scared, Ashley admitted. I'm scared of losing someone again. I'm scared of what people will think. I'm scared that if we try and it doesn't work, I'll lose all of this. I'm scared too, Ryan said. But I'm more scared of not trying. Of looking back in 5 years and regretting that I never told you how I felt. Ashley was quiet for a long moment, wrestling with fear and hope and the ghost of Marcus telling her it was okay to live again. I'm falling in love with you too, she finally whispered. And it terrifies me. Ryan reached out and took her hand. Then let's be terrified together. Let's take this slow. Let's see where it goes. But let's try. Ashley squeezed his hand, feeling the warmth of it, the solidness of it, the promise of it. Okay, she said. Let's try. They sat there for hours, talking about the future. About what they wanted. About how they'd navigate this carefully around the kids, making sure they were ready, making sure it was right. About how healing wasn't a destination but a journey. About how love wasn't a betrayal of the people they'd lost but a celebration of what they'd taught them. About how sometimes the bravest thing you can do is open your heart again. Above them, stars filled the summer sky. And somewhere, Ashley thought, Grace and Marcus were smiling, glad their people had found their way back to life. The next morning, Ryan woke up to all 4 kids piled in his bed, which had become the usual. But this time, Ashley and Zoe were there too, having had a nightmare and come looking for comfort. His bed was crowded and messy. Someone's feet were in his face. Zoe was drooling on his arm. It was chaos. It was perfect. This, Ryan thought, was what Grace meant about family. Not perfection. Not having it all together. Just people who loved each other choosing to show up, every day, even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. Later that week, they got a call from Ryan's business partner David, asking if he wanted to fly to San Francisco for a major conference. The old Ryan would have said yes without thinking. The new Ryan said, "When is it?" "Last week of July." "Can't do it. We're having a beach week with the kids. Family time. Non-negotiable." David laughed. "I don't even recognize you anymore, man." "Good," Ryan said. "That means I'm doing it right." They went to Rehoboth Beach in Delaware, all 7 of them. Ryan had insisted Margaret come too, because she was family. They built sandcastles and chased waves and ate ice cream for breakfast because why not? One evening, as the sun set over the Atlantic, the kids ran ahead chasing seagulls, and Ashley walked beside Ryan on the sand. "Thank you," she said quietly. "For what?" "For being brave enough to change. For letting me be part of this. For giving my daughter a family." "Thank you for breaking my rules," Ryan said. "For seeing what I couldn't see. For teaching me that healing is possible." They walked in comfortable silence, watching their kids play, feeling the weight of the past 6 months and the promise of the future. Ashley thought about the woman she'd been on that cold December day when she'd walked into the brown house for the first time. Broken. Desperate. Drowning in grief and poverty. She'd thought she was just taking a job. She'd had no idea she was walking into the rest of her life. "What are you thinking about?" Ryan asked. "About how strange life is," Ashley said. "How you can be at rock bottom one day and on top of the world 6 months later. How you can think your story is over and then it just starts again." "New chapter," Ryan said. "New book," Ashley corrected. "This isn't just a chapter. This is a whole new story." Ryan smiled, that real smile that reached his eyes, the one his kids had given back to him. "Then let's make it a good one." "It already is," Ashley said. They called the kids back as the sun dipped below the horizon. The 7 of them stood together on the beach, watching the sky turn orange and pink and purple, watching the day end and a new night begin. And Ryan thought about Grace, about how she'd always said that endings were just beginnings in disguise. She'd been right. This was an ending, of grief, of isolation, of fear. But it was also a beginning. Of healing. Of family. Of love. Of life. Real, messy, beautiful life. Liam grabbed his hand. "Dad." "Yeah, buddy." "Can we come back here next year? All of us?" Ryan looked at his son, at his other kids, at Ashley and Zoe, at this family they'd built from broken pieces. "Every year," he promised. "For the rest of our lives." And he meant it. Because he'd learned the most important lesson of all, that love doesn't end when someone dies. It transforms. It grows. It makes room for new people without forgetting the ones who came before. Grace would always be part of their story. Marcus would always be part of Ashley's. But they were writing new chapters now. Chapters filled with hope and joy and second chances. Chapters worth living for. "Let's go home," Ryan said, pulling them all in for a group hug on the beach. And as they walked back toward the boardwalk, toward the car, toward whatever came next, Ryan knew that they were going to be okay. More than okay. They were going to be happy. Finally, truly, deeply happy. The way Grace had always wanted them to be. If this story moved you, if you believe in second chances and healing and the power of love to transform even the darkest grief into light, then you're exactly who this channel is for. Subscribe and be part of a community that believes brokenness isn't the end of the story, it's just the beginning of a better one. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is break the rules that are keeping us from living.